Hi there, and welcome back to the Reset Mantra with me, Sabeena Maharjan. I am so glad you're here. This podcast is all about creating space to pause, reflect, and reset your mind, body, and soul. If you are new here, please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our weekly episode. And if you've been listening for a while, thank you so much. You make my day. We have a very special guest in our show today. Zequille McLean is a visionary leader, effectiveness and wellness coach, and entrepreneur dedicated to empowering women and small businesses to unlock their full potential. As the founder of Inspire and Ignite Her, she creates transformative experiences that blend personal growth, leadership development, and the mindful use of technology. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming Zequille McLean. Welcome, Zequille. I am so excited to have you on my podcast. It's so great that we're having this conversation finally.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation. I am definitely honored anytime that people want to speak to me and hear what I have to say. I'm like, hey, let's go, baby.
Okay. So, as I was mentioning to you before I hit the record button, I have so many questions. Honestly, I'm so inspired by what you do as a visionary leader, effectiveness and wellness coach, and an entrepreneur dedicated to empowering women and small businesses to unlock their full potential. I want to start by asking you, when was the time you felt the need to be on this journey as a wellness coach and entrepreneur, and how to get here? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I think, honestly, I've been on this journey for, God, maybe like 10 years. I remember my first opportunity working as a leader for an organization. And I'm like, there is no way I am trying to be anybody's boss. I will be the trainer, baby. Let me be the trainer. And that wasn't in the plans or in the cards for my life. I was meant to be the leader. And so I stepped into this leadership role and I led roughly, girl, about fifty men and women across the US. And I liked it. I really enjoyed it. And not from a place of, oh, I'm the boss, but from a place of, I got an opportunity to sit down with each one on one, figure out what it was that they liked, what would make them motivated. And I was really good at it. I mean, I amassed a team that was like killing their SLAs and all of the things at work to where they were really, kind of excited about working for me past their own things. And also, we had some successes in that company. And so I was like, wait, I think I kind of like this. And the part of it that I liked was the ability to be able to help people win, like literally help them win, whether it was in their personal lives, if it was in their professional lives, because we're in a professional setting. The thing that cracks me up all the time when I think back to all of my leadership roles was that people would talk to me, people would naturally talk to me about whatever was going wrong or whatever they were finding challenges in. And I would come as that sound ear, giving them a different perspective or something to that effect. And I'm like, well, if I'm able to do this in corporate America, why can't I do this in life? Why am I not able to do this in other areas of life and help more than just my corporate friends, but also help my friends that are outside that really want to make some shifts in their own life? I know that was a long-winded story. That
Wow,
was a
that was
long-winded answer.
no, that was wonderful. It sounds like, from what I heard, your work is deeply rooted in, like you mentioned, transformation and impact and growth, right? So,
Yeah.
tell me about, like, what are most common subconscious blocks you see these people holding back, and how can they
So
get, like, they break free?
So most of our subconscious blocks, and I'm going to touch on women because that's where my focus is. Because I'm a woman, I'm a girl. That's what we do. It's the perfectionism trap. I mean, hello, people pleasing, and then the feeling of being too much. And I felt like this is installed programming based off of all of our personal development that we've done in our life, right? We know that a lot of those things, those are not natural truths that live within us. Those are things that were installed by our society, installed by whomever. Maybe it was family members that loved us that didn't know. And so, what I found in myself is I have this beautiful, we'll call it reframing, but I'm calling it ripping the labels because we have an opportunity, we have a choice. Like, people used to call me I'm OCD. They would give me that label all the time and I'm like, I'm pushing that label off. I'm like, no, I'm ripping the label of OCD because I'm not that. I like things nice, tidy, and orderly. Does that make me OCD? No. But because someone gave me that, I had an opportunity to make a decision for myself. Is that something that I want to hold on to and allow to stew and fester? Or is that something that I feel that I can make more empowering for me? And so that's exactly what I did. And that's what I help other women, men, dogs. Children, look, break those labels, baby. Let's rip them.
I love that. So you said there's the most common subconscious blocks holding people back, especially women. It's perfectionism, people pleasing, and feeling of
Too
too
much.
much. Okay. I think I fall in this criteria.
I mean, look, I can't. I think I'm gonna say this. I am my own first client, so I'm only speaking from my personal experience. I've
Right.
definitely fell in a lot of those traps of the three.
How was it for you personally to break out of this? Because, as easy it may sound, it's extremely hard. It's challenging. And it seems like, okay, we worked on our, for example, people pleasing habit. Let's say, they say like it takes 90 days to form a habit. I don't think that's true at all because for me, it didn't work out. Maybe it will take you 7 days to form a habit. You will be on that track for next 10 days. And then boom, you're back into the old you, right? So personally, how hard it was for you to get yourself out of this blocks or release these blocks? And do you think you've fully mastered those three blocks? You're still working on them?
I do feel that I have, yes, mastered, and yes, I am still on the process because I think that what happens to me in personal growth and healing is that we think that once we get to, like with our GPSs, once we get to the destination we put in our GPSs, we're like, oh, I'm done, I'm healed, I'm good. All right, let's go. What's next? And the reality is that it's an everyday, an ongoing process. There are moments where I don't ever feel like I have to be a perfectionist in, and I just go about my day and I'm good. And then there are moments where that perfectionism creeps in and it's like, ooh, girl, are you sure that recording is good enough? You did kind of fumble over your T's because you were trying to talk too fast. Maybe you should redo it. And what I've done is I catch myself in that thought process and I'm like, you know what? That's probably true, but we just gonna go with progress, baby. And it's really that stinking simple. Is like you have to remind yourself it's progress over perfection. As long as you're making some small daily actions or some types of small actions, then perfectionism kind of like, is it? I mean, one of our mentors says perfectionism is the lowest standard. And so if I'm striving for something that I cannot obtain, I'm begging myself to just sit there in the box and wait and do this and but I refuse. I'm like, nope, small step, small action. Even if it's, one of my little momentum tricks for myself, I'm going to do whatever it takes to continue moving forward. And I also install like what I call bumpers for myself when I get stuck in a perfectionist trap. Say that word
Wow.
3 times real fast.
Yeah. Something that you said, I've never heard this before.
Mm.
Perfectionism is the lowest standard. Yeah, I really like that though, because, for some reason, often as a woman too, it feels like we're expected to be perfect in everything we do. And then we ourselves also impose that self um, imposed expectation, right?
Absolutely.
Hello.
This
What,
is
what,
the this is our company mascot, Kingston.
Kingston? Hello,
Yes.
Kingston.
He likes to be
Oh,
heard, so he wanted to be a part of the podcast, so I'm just gonna hang out
mm,
with him right here.
you're
Oh,
welcome.
maybe I'll get rid of him.
Yeah. Yes, like I was saying, I just love
Yes,
that quote. Perfectionism is the lowest standard. I think it will give I feel like this will give women and, folks listening a permission to be imperfect and, count that, be grateful about the progress that they're making, no matter what they're working on. So
absolutely.
that was nice. So you have a method which is called invisible crown method. I
Yes.
love that word, invisible crown. I'm just like reminding me to correct my posture here for those of you listening. Tell us more about what invisible crown method is.
Absolutely. So, the invisible crown method is about leading without authority. So, one of my favorite mentors and one of my new mentors wrote this book about leading without authority. It is I gotta calm myself down, girl, because I was getting a little hype. Hold on. A lot of people feel that in order to be the boss, I have to be the boss of something, or I am the supervisor, or I'm your boss, I'm your manager, I'm the CEO, I'm the CI, I'm the blah, 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 blah. And honestly, none of that matters. The first person that you have to lead first is yourself. And when you use that to lead yourself first, when you use what I'm calling the invisible crown method to lead yourself first and to really step and to know that I don't have to wait for someone to give me a title.
Mm, mm, mm.
It brings a whole different thing. And the reason why I call it invisible crown is because I think we all are royalty. I believe that within every part of me, that we're all royalty and that we all wear a crown. And whether or not we have one visible or invisible, we get to really embody that in everything that we do. Because, as you just said, when you said invisible crown, the first thing you did was you straightened yourself up, you checked your posture because our crown. And I mean, what a better way. What a better word and what a better way. But I will say it is definitely about embodying your own authority that you have. And again, it's about not waiting for someone to give you permission or a title before you start leading. And when I have seen others do this in corporate organizations or in nonprofit organizations, it's been really beautiful. It's the person that steps up without being asked to do the thing that needs to get done and not doing it for the recognition or the award, but doing it because they see that there is a solution that they can be a part of.
I love that. Yeah, I was speaking on mute already earlier. I was like fixing my crown. I guess, a couple of questions. Just when I hear like invisible crown, especially as a woman, especially as a woman, it also shows the respect that we treat or hold for us within us, right? So I think the moment that belief or a thought comes in our mind, automatically the body posture changes, like, earlier when I was trying to fix my posture. So I guess that's where it starts, right? And I think I really like how you said it's a permission or title that remind me what you said. I think you said something like it's a permission or a title that you don't need
Yeah,
to
so it's
lead.
leading basically leading with value, not with permission. So
Mm,
you're not waiting for permission for someone to give you a title to lead. You're just stepping up to the plate and doing it automatically because you know that you can be a part of the solution.
I love that. What were you doing as part of work before you were a coach or ventured into this journey?
So I worked in project management and service delivery management, which for those of you that may not know that are listening, that means that I am the person that you go to when there's a problem that arises and I find the solutions. And for project management, it's just herding cats, getting them all to look in the same direction and saying, let's go this way. Let's go to the left, everybody. And then we want to make a little left, a little right after that. And I mean, and so it's just, using those skills to be able to implement into my daily life and into, prayerfully the lives of others.
Yeah, I feel that, so I'm in the area of product, I would say. I spent most of my career in product management working as a systems analyst, but then my current title or role requires me to do a little bit of IT, like PM.
Mhm.
And I feel that's a difficult job. That's a difficult job. But then I definitely see the value of learning those skills to apply in other areas of work that you do, right? So it's a
Oh,
huge, huge,
absolutely.
huge responsibility, I feel. So let's see. Let's go a little bit deeper about talking about the invisible crown method. So I guess this is a part of your coaching program, right? Like, is it a coaching program? Is it a course, or what is it for our listeners to learn a little bit more about
So
this method?
I will say the invisible crown method for me is something that I haven't quite decided how I want to implement it. I know that eventually it will turn into a course, but it may evolve, it may grow into a speech or something to that effect. I'm still in that creativity phase of that. So I don't know yet. I'm like, ooh, what I'm just getting the juice of it.
I love that. Hey, I love that. Yes. So it's in the process of getting marinated.
It is definitely.
hmm So, in your experience, right, as a wellness coach, what do you think, or I guess, what role does subconscious reprogramming play in our personal growth? And how can someone rewire or reprogram their minds to release these blocks or limitations that they're imposing on themselves or someone's imposing on them?
So it plays a very, very vital role because I think and if we haven't, we can all look up the iceberg subconscious block, and we can see that our conscious mind only operates like 5%, like maybe 5 to 7 to 10, depending on who you ask. And then our subconscious mind, it runs everything. It's the program in the computer. We're just the conscious mind to me is just the typing that we do on the screen interfaces. Our subconscious mind is the background that works on the inner workings, the ones and zeros. And so when we get to a point to where we're tapping into that, we're able to really make shifts in our brains. I think between what hypnotherapy, I don't know if I will say hypnotherapy, NLP, and some of those other modalities, they really help to, for me, help us to build reframes in our lives. Like I did, like I reframed fear for myself. I reframed failure for myself. And it's all about first, I think one of my mentors says that our beliefs are like a table. And so, if you're able to subconsciously knock out the belief, or either consciously or subconsciously knock out the belief of that table, one of the legs of that table, then we're able to topple that and then install something new. Does that make sense? Because I said a lot of words.
No, it does. It does.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm visualizing the Tony Robbins example of the legs and the table. So am I on the right path there? I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny because I use that in a lot of things in my life. I think of when I talk to a friend and they tell me, I'm going to use something outlandish because I have so many examples, but let's just say, for instance, someone's like, the sky is gray and every day it's gray. And you're like, really? Is it really gray? And so you start to go into why they believe the sky is gray. And as you go through each of those beliefs, we can technically knock out one of the legs and have them to see things on a different perspective. But I think for me, it's all about perspective. It's all about, yes, I may believe right now that Charlize Theron, for instance, is one of the most gorgeous women on the planet. And someone can come to me and say, well, she's really not. And here's why she's not. Well, if my belief is wobbly already, they can knock it out no problem. But if I have a very strong belief, girl, you can't tell me that woman ain't gorgeous. What do you mean? So I think that that plays a lot in our role. And I think it's important because we are literally walking around. I think they said after the age of 30, most of the beliefs and the things that we have going on in our lives were things that were installed by society, by parents, by friends, by all of these things. And when we really start to take a look and get uncomfortable and look at them realistically, then we're able to see, well, you know what? I see why that is the way that it is. Like, I used to be afraid of frogs. I knew exactly why I was afraid of frogs. There's this cute little boy when we were kids. He had a frog, it peed on him, and he threw it at us, and it scared us. And so I was afraid of frogs. I was afraid of fake frogs. I was afraid of real frogs. It didn't matter. It could be a frog on the TV, and I just spot them out of the corner of my eye. And I would literally go into a state of fight or flight. Fright, fight, fright, or freeze. Blech, say that 3 times really fast. But I would go I would go into that freeze state, and I'm like, I gotta, I gotta get, how can I get out of this? And I really had to like look at, okay, what was it about the frog that scared me? Well, the frog is slimy. I don't want to touch it. The boy threw it at me, so now I'm freaked out. Okay, well, does frogs really, should you really be afraid of frogs? Well, I mean, no. I mean, it depends on where you are. Because if you're in a different country, yes, because they're poisonous. But in the USA, probably not so much. They're probably just tree frogs. They're not going to harm you. Some of them were kind of cute. And then it's when I got to the some of them are kind of cute. I was like, huh, okay, yeah, they are. Because someone got me a cute little frog. And I was like, um, and when I finally just continued breaking it down of this innocent little frog that got tossed my way, I'm like, man, I now feel bad for the frog because he was like, I'm trying to defend myself, sir, and you picked me up. So I'm going to do what I can to get you off of me. And, so I gave the frog a lot of grace. And, and I'll just say I'm no longer afraid of
Hmm.
frogs. But
Oh,
that's my frog story.
I think that was a beautiful walk through of how to get to the root cause of the fear that you have, of a belief system that you have, right? Like you
Yeah.
asked like the series of questions, and also making interpretations on my own and asking yourself, okay, is that true? What I'm thinking, is that true? And then you ask a follow-up question. I wish I could give a live like more detailed example for our audience, but I think for folks listening, is it called like 7 layers deep, or what is this method or called to
So it's
challenge
it's called
this?
the work. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, go ahead. The
It's
work.
it's yeah, Byron Katie's The Work. And that's where she goes through the I think it's about 4 questions. And she says, is it true? Is it really true? What would I think she asked, how does this truth that I believe right now make me feel? And sometimes you get to go in your body. Where in my body am I feeling it? And then what would I be without this? And I
Hmm.
think for me, once you go through those first questions, because sometimes you could say, yeah, it's really true. And then, and if you really believe it's true, and then if in your body, like for me, I knew in my body, I felt scared. I felt like I couldn't move. I felt like this is going to kill me or something. I don't know. And then when I realized, well, what would I be without this? Well, I'd be free. I would be free to walk past a frog and not have to feel like it's going to jump on me or being thrown at me. I'd be free to recognize that this is one of God's beautiful creatures. And sometimes they are a little cute when they're in cartoons. So, I think it's about, the work. It's you get an opportunity every day to do the work, and it's on you, you can stay stuck or
Hmm.
you can do the work and then feel that freedom. Because, baby, I'm telling you, this is freedom.
Yeah. Yes. The freedom, that's the ultimate goal. Yeah, and I think I'm spending a little bit time on this because I really did spend a lot of time last year and then still do on
Hmm.
really challenging certain belief systems that I have, which is really not working in my favor. And I had to really write it down to say, okay, if I'm thinking I'm not good enough, is that true? Where did this come from? Perhaps something in my school, in my high school, grade 5, someone said something, and since then I'm thinking I'm not good enough. If I have a belief that's system that's really not serving me, for example, like
Yeah.
I'm too short, and I really think about like, okay, is it true? Where did that come from? Yes, I'm short, but comparisons. Like back in high school when I was trying to play volleyball, someone said, okay, you're too short, you can't like jump high and smash the volleyball. And so I'm short. And somehow I translated that as being bad. So I think things like that. So the layers questions, the work method that you mentioned, I think framework like that really help us challenge the belief system and address the root cause and eliminate and then replace it with good, positive belief systems that work for us. Let's talk about some advices that you have for someone who's perhaps stuck in self doubt and struggling to take that next step, small step that they can take today just to relieve the self doubt and then at least make progress and go to that next step.
So I have what I call the 2-minute momentum trick. And I will literally grab my trusty little timer, set it for 2 minutes. And for instance, I used to journal a lot and I haven't been journaling as much as I used to or much as I desire to. And so I'll set my timer for 2 minutes and I'll just write, free form write. Maybe I'll give myself a prompt or I'll just write for 2 minutes. And sometimes I don't stop after the 2 minutes. I'm continuing to go. When I was creating my new course, I literally was like, well, I'll just work on it for about a minute. I said, no, I'll give myself till 6:15. So sometimes I'll give myself the 5-minute momentum trick. And but more than likely it's between 2 and 5 minutes. And what I found is that the problem is starting. And in order to start, you have to say, okay, well, I'm just going to do this for 2 minutes because anybody can do anything for 2 minutes. You can do
Mm.
anything for 2 minutes. And 2 minutes is quite long, longer than we think. And it's also quite short because then you're like, well, I have more to write. And so guess what happens is that you're able to finish the thing that you thought you couldn't finish by just giving yourself that 2-minute motivation, 2 minute of love on whatever it is that you're wanting to do.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, that sounds really amazing. I think personally for me, I think journaling is a great way to just fully express. And I think I'm terrible at sharing things or being vulnerable, even with my friends and family. So for me, journaling is when I feel the most free and I get to really see what my focus has been and where I am lacking, or I shouldn't say lacking. I'm trying to eliminate the use of word lack. So where I need to step up. So, what I noted earlier, you mentioned something about, until you're these or somewhere, all of who you are is basically like a set of programs or belief systems which you've collected from your childhood, your family, your parents, society, right? And
Yeah.
I feel that that's very interesting because we also talk a lot about like women in 30s and how you can reframe your perspective starting late 20s 30s, because often a lot of people still do think that being in 30s or getting closer to 30s is like, oh my God, this is like I'm getting too old, or I need to get married, have kids, house. And if you don't have, you're in trouble. And a lot of, I think, insecurities start to question, or at least it's designed to make that way, especially for women, right? So I feel that
Mhm.
30s for me personally has been a really awakening era. I felt like at 33, it was like the most crucial time of my life where the whole world really changed. And I thought, oh my God, it took me 33 years to really know the meaning of life. I mean, I'm glad at least it happened this way and not when I'm like 50 or 60. But I cannot tell you for women or anybody listening, 30s are, I think, where the real life starts. I think it's just the beginning. It's not ending of anything at all. I don't know. How's your experience been? Uh,
Look,
yeah.
when I first turned 30, I was so excited and I cried. I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "I am an adult. I am stepping into my adulthood. I'm stepping into who I'm meant to be, who God has called me to be, all the beautiful things. What does that look like?" So it was a big question mark for me. And I remember this one verse, which was for me the verse that I ended up getting tattooed was, and I'm gonna paraphrase it. It's basically when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I did childish things. But in the verse it says, now I'm a man, but I'm a woman. And so now I am a woman, and now it's time to put childish things away. And I feel that for me, when I turned 30, it was time for me to put the things that I did in my life that I found that were childish, that were not life-giving, fruit-bearing, it's time to put those things away because now I know better. And so now, since I know better, it's time for me to do better. And
Mm.
that was like, for me, my turning point in my 30s was like, okay, now it's time for me to do better. And it's been an upward trek ever since then. It's like, all right, let's do better. Let's do better. Let's do better. And I got I got caught in the need in the seeking of validation from others. And then I remember watching a message from Sister Shivani where she talks about how we are a world that is caught up in the need for validation. We're so seeking of validation from others, and we're the only one that we need to validate. And so, like, even then I was slowly self-validating, but now, baby,
Mhm.
if I like it, I love it. And if you don't, that's totally fine. I love you where you are, but love me where I am too.
Mm.
And I think that, things will be we can agree to disagree. We don't have to like have the same likes, wants, desires, feels, blah 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 blah. Because women we get caught up in that, right? And that also starts like our people pleasing starts coming out. But if it's like, no, I'm gonna like this and I'm gonna own this, and it's okay because I think what was it? I think about when like when we first meet a new friend, sometimes like, oh my God, there's so much that we are alike, and then you're like, oh, well, I don't really like
Mhm.
mushrooms and she likes mushrooms. But I think even Tony says this, like you'll eat the mushroom if you're a people pleaser, just so that you can see, oh yeah, I like mushrooms. And it's like, meanwhile, no, you're allergic to mushrooms, not stop eating them, We have to be, I think, aware of ourselves and, also understand that the only opinion that truly matters is our own.
Mhm. For sure. Yeah. And I think 30s is really that era or decade where we finally learn to accept ourselves the way we are. 20s definitely is a lot of trials and errors and experiments or risk or maybe staying idle, no judgment there. But
Yeah,
30s, I think, regardless, is I think an opportunity. 40s, 50s, 60s, I think you can rebuild and reframe your life at any point in time. I think my dad, he's close to 60 plus, and every time we ask him, how old are you, dad, in birthdays, he's like, I was 50 once and I never grew older since then. And he's a very charismatic person, always trying different things, healthier, younger day by day, very, very active. So it's very inspiring for me, and I love to think that, wow, when I'll be his age at, 60 or 70, 80, we'll still be here learning and growing and flourishing.
absolutely. I love your dad's mentality. I love that. He's like, I
Mm.
don't know. I stop aging after 50.
Yeah, he's like, I stopped aging. Yeah, 50, and then that's it. That's all I remember. All right. Lots of questions still. It's so fun, but I know we have limited time here, and I want to get to the fun part, like I was mentioning before, the three questions that I
Yes.
put together. Zakil, I definitely would like to have you back just so we can talk more about, the transformation, the mindsets, and life in general. Okay, so I've a few cosmic questions, which I like to call.
Ooh.
Think of this as a little journey through your mind and the universe. No right or wrong answers, just whatever comes to your mind. Moment, are you ready?
I am.
Okay. All right. First question. If your mind was a galaxy, what kind of planet would you be living on right now?
I have no idea of the planets. The first thing I thought of was the multiverse.
Multiverse. Interesting.
The multiverse, because I'm like, sometimes I'm here in this, and then sometimes I'm in here in this, and I can just be anywhere, baby.
I like that. There's infinite possibilities. Right? Let's put it that way. I love that
Absolutely.
concept. Yes. Okay. So the second question, the universe just sent you a cosmic billboard. What message is written on it for you?
You got this.
Mhm.
Simple.
You got
Classic.
that. I love it. Always works. Always works. Okay. Third question. If you could place one thought, belief, or mantra into every human's subconscious tonight, like planting a star in their mind, what would it be?
Unconditional love.
Mm.
I think, and that actually touches me as I say that, because I really feel that that is sometimes a miss in our society is the unconditional love. We look at someone who's very different from us and we judge them, or we look at a situation and we judge that, or we look, at ourselves and we judge it. And if we unconditionally love ourselves, the situation, and others, imagine how much cooler our lives would be.
Hmm.
I'm
I
not
love
saying it
that.
would be conflict free. However, it would definitely be a lot nicer.
Mm, I love it. Yeah, and conditional love. I really like it. Recently, I also interviewed another guest, and she's a very renowned dating and relationship coach from UK,
Hmm.
Perja Lawson, and she said, "Love is our natural state. Love is our natural state." And I'm like, yes, wow. Such a beautiful definition of love. And maybe it was always there. I just paid attention to now.
I mean, I
So,
think we don't. Sometimes we like, I mean, like you said, when we grow up in our 30s, before our 30s, we believe all of these things, all this hodgepodge of things that we've collected on our journeys. We get to our 30s and then we're like, hold on, I got this basket of things. I need to sort some of this stuff out because this basket's kind of heavy. So we start sorting things out and then we start realizing treasures. We start realizing, hold on, why is this big old ball of lint? Why am I carrying this around? Why? And then you're taking that out and you're just sorting through and keeping all of the things that serve you, that show your greatness. And then you're getting rid of some stuff that's not. Some people get to go on this journey, some people don't. And I think that, again, I say it's all a choice. If I chose to go on that journey and start cleaning out my basket, and I'm kind of excited about the things that I'm discovering, that I'm finding. And then even some of the people that like pouring into the basket some goodness as well. So it's really amazing.
yeah, I like how you say it. I think Abraham Hicks says bag of marbles, right? That we're all collecting, carrying our own bag of marbles. It's up to our choice. It's our choice which one we pick and activate. But we all
But
do have those bags.
absolutely.
Oh, wow. It's been such a joy, such a delightful conversation. I wish we could have this sooner, but here we are. So I'm so, so
Perfect
grateful.
timing.
Yes. Thank you so much again, Zakil. This was absolutely amazing, and I really, really had a great time.
Same, I did too. I would love to talk more. And look, I love that you did the Joe Dispenza retreats. I love him. He is, we call him Holy Joey over
Oh,
here
oh, holy
because he's
Joey.
Holy Joey.
Ah, Howie. Oh my God. Yeah, that's nice.
Because I mean, he's such a profound and spiritual person. And anyways, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I'm going to stop that yellow rope right here and say thank you so much for hosting me on your podcast. It has definitely been an honor, and I can't wait to come back and just enjoy all of the beautiful things with you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome.